didn't have record going. So, so with that, here is sort of the 2x your revenue process. Now, most everyone just focuses right here, lead generation. I need more clients. Well, you can see I got that blacked out right now. So we're all kind of hyper-focused on we need new clients. And how can I get more leads? How can I convert more? But first thing we need to do is what we call in our methodology, just compiling. Let's compile the data. So how many existing clients, and I'm just going to put in sample numbers to kind of walk through this process. How many existing clients do we have? Let's just say we've got 1,000 just for sake of example. And what is our current retention rate? Of those 1,000 clients, how many do we actually hold on to every year? So let's just say it's 80%. Again, this is sample data, and you're going to want to go through this process and go back and look at your data and know where you're at currently. Average transaction value, let's say 2,000, let's say $200, and the average number of times that someone buys from us 2.2 times. Let's round it, but 2 times. So that means we have 320,000 in revenues. Nick, makes sense? That's just 100. We got 1,000 clients. We're going to keep 80% of them times $200 per transaction times 2. That gets us 320,000. Now the question is, okay, how do we go about doubling this? And where most of us kind of universally just fixate on, I don't know if you can see the highlighting, but we're just again fixated on lead generation and conversion rate. But what I want to show to you is that there's much more to it. And really what we need to get to is this magical number down here, which is 38%. So we can have any combination as long as this is 38%. So we're going to say we need, for sake of this example, we're going to grow our client base by 5%. And we're going to increase our retention rate by 3%. We're going to increase how much we charge by 20, and we're going to increase the average number of transactions by 10%. But I could change this from 3 to 5, so on and so forth. This number down here just needs to be 38%. And so what happens is that next year, a year from now, we're going to add 50 clients. Our retention rate improved by 3%, not 3 percentage points, by 3%. Now we have an average transaction amount of $240, and the average number of transactions per client is 2.2. So now we're at 456,000. And so if the following year we do the same thing, we just increase the number of clients by 5%. We again improve our retention by 3%. Again, increase our transaction value by 20% and increase the number of transactions by 10. We get to 652,000, which is slightly more than double. But just to show you the math, I could change this to 3 to 5%. I could switch these around. In any combination, as long as it's 38%, we get to the same output. So if you wanted, you could make this 20% and this 3%. But the moral of the story is that as long as we get to this magic number, we're going to slightly more than double each year. And so, I mean, what is the point? And you can see that it's not just happenstance. If I blow this out to 4 years, in 4 years, we doubled. So compared to 2 years out, to 4 years out, we doubled again. Okay.
I want to point out, you may touch on this, but look at the numbers. Go to like 4 years. A lot of times people say, hey, look, you got to raise your price and from 200 to 1,500, which is a big ask, right? Or you need to double your retention, and you need to these are really big asks that require a lot. Look at the difference in numbers here. If we're systematic about this, we're talking about from 200 to 293. Yeah. Not from 200 to 3,500, which causes all kinds of problems, right? So these are very, very easy, simple things. We're just being deliberate about where the resources go.
Yeah, and even if I switch this back to 20% where I had it originally. 4 years from now, we're at $415, right? We're still doubled twice, right? So again, to your point, Nick, what we're generally hearing is the only way you can grow your business is if you get more leads, or the only way you can grow your business is if you take your current price from $200 to $5,000. It's the only way. Your pricing is too low. You're never going to get there. Well, clearly that's not the case, because there's more to business, and intuitively we know this already, which is we want to deliver. If you just kind of intuitively talk about it, like, hey, we want to deliver really good service, which means that clients are going to stay around. And if they stay around, then we can probably get them to buy a little bit more because we're delivering really good service. And we can add some more value to what we're delivering, which means we can charge a little bit more for that. Right? And so it's not just the marketer frame. This is a perfect example of applying professional skepticism and stepping back and breaking apart. How do I really want to go about growing my business? It's going to be the most efficient way where I don't have to hustle my face off and totally crush myself because all I'm doing is focused on lead gen. That's why often when we do office days or we sit down for half a day or a day with someone, 80% of that time is just spent on compiling. Where are you at currently? How many clients do you have? How long do they stay with you? We're trying to get at retention rate. How often do they buy from you? What are they buying? Like really trying to compile that, because maybe there's some low-hanging fruit. Maybe you've got a great email list already that we can go and generate some sales from. Often that's not the case for a lot of us who are running businesses. We don't have a lot of marketing assets necessarily, which is why we keep trying to throw money at improving lead generation or improving conversion. But we've already got a bunch of clients who are paying us. And so the lowest or potentially the highest leverage thing is to go after increasing transaction value, right? If we've got some loyal clients right now, rather than trying to just focus on lead gen, we may be able to add a little bit more value, not do a huge, massive price increase, because you're probably going to lose somebody at that point if you go, hey, I know I used to charge you 200, but now it's going to be 5,000. They're anchored, right? So we've anchored them to something. We have to add a lot of value to take them to that. But we may be able to get them just to buy a little bit more, add a little bit more value, and then improve their overall satisfaction with us. So moral of the story is that the frame shift here is to shift from always being focused in the marketer frame. We need more leads. We need to convert to there's more to business. How do we focus on some other things that can really drive the needle? And that some of these things we might already be really good at. Probably already, if you're a technician, you're already good at serving clients, then probably the highest leverage thing is for you to reach out to them and offer them a little bit more. Do a gap meeting. As I think Zach from my team is on here. We're starting to do some gap meetings, goal achievement process, sitting down with them and going back to their profit priorities. What are you really trying to fund? What do you really care about? Let's get that down. Okay, you want 10 more hours of white space per week. You want to retire your spouse. Like those are your main priorities right now. We've already got a trusting relationship. What if I did following 2 or 3 things to help you get closer to that? Would that make sense? Right? And if you've already got the existing relationship with them, they're much more likely to buy from you. And by getting them closer to their goals, guess what happens? They're going to likely stay along for longer because you're actually getting them closer to the things that you want. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out now to go to some of these other tabs. So the action step, if you get access to the workbook, is come in here, put in your current data, existing clients, retention rate, transaction value, average number. And then from there, you can see how that's going to build over the next couple of years. And you're going to decide, what am I going to focus on, right? What do I think based off what I know about my business already is going to be highest leverage? Is it really going to be lead gen, or is it going to be higher leverage to increase transaction value? So presumably, the bigger the increases, the more effective you are at it already, the higher leverage it is, right? So if you're if you're really good at lead gen and conversion, then maybe that's what you want to attack. Perhaps you're already good at maintaining relationships with clients. There's just a gap in terms of the systems and things that you've implemented. So it might be higher leverage for you to focus on those. So really dig deep into your business and thinking about what you're already good at. Now that said, Nick mentioned we have a bunch of strategies. So you can see down here at the bottom, we've got this tab that says action plan, and then we've got this tab lead gen, conversion rate, etc. So what I've done is I've dumped in all of these strategies. Here's a bunch of lead generation strategies, okay, which we sort of teased if there's enough demand that each week we'll go through one of these strategies. So here's a funny one. Email marketing with an offer. That may seem like a no-brainer. Nick, how many people have you met with who are doing email marketing, but they never make an offer?
So many.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's outrageous. We've like doubled revenue by making an offer for once.
Yeah, you gave an example a couple weeks ago where you helped somebody generate over 100 sales in less than 24 hours because you just helped them actually make an offer. They'd never made an offer to their list. So we've got all these different strategies, and we're going to go through them. But say you go with email marketing with an offer, Google Ads, AdWords. Okay. Pick a couple, 2 or 3. There's a bunch of them, right? Here's 62 on this tab. And my suggestion is that you're going to work through this workbook and you're going to pick the strategies. This one, also funny, accept all payment methods. Some people, you're just turning away money because you're making it really difficult. This isn't necessarily one I'm a huge fan of, but sort of the lean back strategy. The list is comprehensive. But pick a few conversion rate strategies, retention, annual customer survey, for example. And so as you work through this and you select them, this is building out your action plan. So if I come over here and I go bundle high margin items, and I come back here to my action plan, then you'll see now that it's been added to your list. Okay, so the idea is we're going to go here, we're going to compile current data, we're going to assign the percentages, knowing that it needs to add up to 38% if we want it to double every 2 years. Then, and we're going to be strategic about how we're allocating these percentages based off what's going to be highest leverage. Again, this is what we help people do, and is figure out what's highest leverage in office days, and as well as helping them sort of compile. And then once we know that, then we're going to go here and start picking what are going to be the highest leverage strategies for us. And that's going to build out our action plan for the next year. These are going to be the strategies that we're focused on for the next year. So our plan then is on a go-for basis is to pick a strategy a week that we're going to really like dig into how you'd actually go about implementing it. Like what are the considerations? What do you need to? What are the micro steps? So we preach a lot on micro steps. How do you validate the approach that you're taking is actually going to get you the results that you want? The tendency is always to spend hours and hours, maybe hundreds of hours building out all the templates and all of that, and then you go live and you don't get the response that you're looking for. So talking about the micro steps we take to validate the direction that we're going, so we're not spending hours and hours and hours only to not get the outcome that we want. So we'll start working through those. What this has are all of the strategies as it relates to lead gen and conversion, retention rate, transaction value, number of clients. There are some additional strategies which are part of our cash flow engineering, revenue multiplication process, which is now that we have more money coming in, how do we make sure that our margins are solid? Right? Because the danger, again, back to what Dr. Jeff was talking about, the biggest danger is that we start having these high months and we add more expenses. We keep adding more and more. And so our revenue, it's called Parkinson's Law. Basically, as profits go up or as revenues go up, expenses grow at the same rate. And so we need to make sure that we have some cash flow engineering strategies that we're working through to make sure that not only is revenue going up, but margin is improving and we're keeping more of that money. So we're not overpaying in taxes. So we're keeping more and more of that money. And then we are taking the final step, which is maybe the most important step of all, which is that we're actually allocating that money towards our priorities. Because I can't tell you how many folks do all this hard work and then they don't take the final step, which is setting up the systems for the money to actually go towards funding their priorities. Lots of people come to me who have gone from 0 to 1.3 million in 4 or 5 years. They don't have anything to show for it. All the money is sort of evaporated to some extent. So we need to make sure that we are keeping more as our revenue goes up, we're keeping more of that. In addition, that the money that we're keeping more of is actually being earmarked, is actually being allocated towards our priorities. So that requires actually knowing what your priorities are and getting really clear on that. So if you have not completed the profit priority workbook, or if you're not a member of the Certainty app, which does all this for you, you should go into the member site and work on that and get clear on your priorities. What are they? When do you want to achieve them by? How much is it going to cost? So you can actually see and quantify how much cash you need to make it a reality. So that's the workbook, Nick. That's the thought process. I see some questions coming in. I'm going to turn off the share and we can kind of jam on those questions.
Yep. Real quick. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I see some great questions in there. And there's a lot of questions about, will this be available, Diamond members only, so on and so forth. And since you made it this far, you get to hear the details, which is the next 10. I think we actually had 2 come in. So the next 8 that roll into Diamond will get, they'll get the worksheet. They'll get the replay of this, obviously. That's a no-brainer. But we are going to every week break down, identify one of these categories and one of these strategies and tactics, break it down, explain it, and then workshop with Diamond members every Wednesday on what it means for them, how they can implement it, where they need to focus. So as we build the library of these things, we can redirect you and say, hey, focus on this one instead. The next 10 Diamond members get access to all of those. They get an office day. So we will spend 2, 3, 4 hours with you, helping you compile and figuring out exactly where you need to focus so that we can pick the right strategies. So the next 10 Diamond members also get that office day. And Dr. Jeff Spencer is a great friend and a partner. He will be providing support frequently in the Diamond membership as well. So whether it be a biweekly tune-up or a monthly tune-up, there are very few people in this world that get consistent access to him. So the next 10 Diamond members get all of that. If you're already Diamond, you're grandfathered in. We always do that. Anything when you come into Diamond, as we raise the price, as we add features, as we add benefits, you keep your price. You stay grandfathered in. So we have.
Didn't Dr. Jeff tell us the story last time he was on about an NBA player who paid him $1 million to get his cell phone number so he could text him?
Yep. That's his. So Diamond members, you'll have access to Jeff. You'll have access to this workbook. More importantly, you'll have access to us to help you workshop through, and collectively we could share ideas, what we're doing, how we're crafting our 9-word emails, maybe how somebody else is doing it in a different industry, and all that stuff. And so, wow, I'm super excited. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for being an early adopter. You go to cfeclass.com/diamond. I can't share because Zoom is not cooperating, but cfeclass.com/diamond, and you will get the next 8. Yep, there you go. The next 8, get all of that, specifically the office days. When we get those 8, we're gonna have to raise the price again, simply because of the amount of time and resources that we really want to pour into this program. So hopefully we'll see you all And on Wednesday, if we don't fill up the spots, which I do expect to do, we'll open up another opportunity on Monday. So if you join us Monday, and we're going to deep dive again on the same subject, same topic. Let's look at questions here. If you have questions, drop them in the Q&A. It's much easier to navigate than the chat.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat now.
Cool.
Let's see. Ian says going through goal achievement roadmap now, super helpful. Yeah, I mean, everything that Dr. Jeff has is gold, basically. HA says rule of 3 and 10 comes to mind. So I think that was when Dr. Jeff was talking about kind of taking a pause. And that's right. Yeah, through rule of 3 and 10. So that's for those of you who are new, if you go into Wealth Q&A and you go under, I think, Wealth Principles, we have a bunch of different principles and frame shifts. Our whole mantra is that most of the things that we face as business owners are preference-based decisions. They're not binary. It's not a yes or no. It's not that easy. It's not that clear. Should I grow my business or should I not? And so we use a combination of a few different tools. One, we use principles to process issues. And then we use dynamic bank accounts. So we have this methodology to figure out how much you should set aside in each of your reserves so you can use your actual bank balances to figure out whether or not you can afford to buy something. And then we use something called readiness to determine the overall risk of the business. And is it ready overall to be able to take on new opportunities? So the rule of 3 and 10 is one of our core 10 principles that we teach. It's this idea that every time your business triples or hits an order of magnitude of 10, everything's going to break. And it's called rule of 3 and 10, but it's not that. It's more of a principle than a rule. So it's not necessarily these exact numbers, but it ends up being pretty close. Think about going from 1 person to 3, 3 to 10, 10 to 30, 30 to 100, so on and so forth. Think about number of clients scaling, so on and so forth, that those are breakpoints. And the relevance of that is twofold. One is to be able to anticipate, hey, I'm going to have some costs coming up because we're approaching a breakpoint. That cost could either be your time, because there's a cost to that, or there could be actual cash that you need to pay out. The other thing is, I think business owners experience a lot of shame if they have to rebuild something that they just worked on a year ago. Internal shame, or maybe they don't have the language to talk to their spouse. I mean, I've had these conversations early on in my entrepreneurial journey where my wife would be like, didn't you guys just do this like a year ago? I didn't really have the language to explain to her. We did, but the rule of 3 and 10, like we knew this was going to break once we hit this next, we didn't overbuild. We knew that it was just to support us to get to 10, and we knew that at that point we'd have to redo. So it's a way to also be able to articulate to your team, to your spouse, to so on and so forth, that, hey, we're just building to this next milestone. Or we're going to overbuild. And you know what? We're going to accept that we're going to overpay on that. Because we think we're going to go from 3 to 30 in the next year. We don't want to build something that's just going to support to 10. So that's a rule of 10, 3 and 10. We've got 9 other core principles that we teach, and then that are like fundamental to every issue that we process.
Real quick, welcome to 2 people just rolled into Diamond. So welcome.
Awesome.
I won't drop names to if the people don't want us to drop their names, but welcome. You'll get a welcome email. I'm going to drop cfeclass.com /login. It'll only work for you if you've already enrolled, but you can see it'll unlock when you join Diamond. It'll unlock all of the courses and materials.
Awesome. Yeah, super happy to have them on board. And I think what you're going to enjoy in particular, if you show up to anything, come to Wednesdays. Wednesdays are my favorite. Wednesdays are Q&A. It's a meeting format. I see several people who show up regularly, like Ian, Jackie, Tita, just scrolling through the list. And basically we come on and you ask whatever you want to talk about. You can turn on your screen and we just work through kind of like an office day. So if you show up to any of our meetings, come to those. Those are definitely, like I said, my favorite.
I think we use one of the things we do after our trainings is we just kind of do our own business planning live in front of everybody.
Yeah, if you
Um,
don't ask a question, then we just start talking.
we'll use Mondays or Tuesdays to break down the new tactic, the new strategy, so that on Wednesdays you can come with questions and we can work you through it or redirect you.
Yeah.
Because Thursday is tax optimization roadmap. So we'll use Monday or Tuesday to introduce a new tactic, and then Wednesdays you show up and we'll just help you implement it and identify, you know, how do we change the language here? How do we implement this? What are some ideas? All that stuff. So we'll let you know because you'll get replays too. Definitely show up live on Wednesday and make sure you watch the weekly strategy or tactic.
Yeah. Cool. Benson says loves the simple, counterintuitive mindset shift about creating top line growth. Yeah, that's awesome. It's about trying to move from just always being stuck in the marketer frame to the professional skeptic. And then we talk about the investor frame as well, which is more of a, for those of you that haven't heard me talk about that, that's more of a quarterly cadence kind of thing where we step back and we say, and this is why we're doing quarterly seeking certainty summits for Diamond members, which is basically once a quarter, we need to step back and think about everything that we have in our business or our business portfolio and go, would I buy these businesses? Would I hire the staff? And going through that process, because we name a lot of puppies. Naming the puppy is where if you ever go name a puppy, that puppy is yours. So we tend to name a lot of puppies in our business, and that if we have a hard stop once a quarter and we go, hey, would I buy this business now? Would I do all these things? If no, what do I need to change? And so we're using those quarterly summits, and Dr. Jeff will, I think, be there to facilitate as well and get everyone's minds right to really make sure that we're focused on the things that actually get us closer to what we want. Otherwise, what's the point?
A question came in, says, what's the link? If it's to sign up for Diamond, it's cfeclass.com/diamond. I dropped it in the chat.
Yeah, and what we do is you just get grandfathered into everything. So all of our current Diamond members, some of which paid $297 for lifetime access last year, and then other people who are paying like $50 a month, you just get everything. And that's part of, we teach about it a lot, diffusion of innovation and how to reward your early adopters. So it's baked into what we do. So you just, whenever we increase the price and we add more bonuses, we don't necessarily increase your price. You just get rewarded for being an early adopter. Erica asked, do we have this workbook? Well, Erica, you're a Diamond member. It's not in the portal yet because I finished building it right before the meeting, and I sent it to Nick like 15 minutes before. So I don't think it's been added yet, but you'll get access to it. Amanda asked, will you share more about the certification process? Very curious about the timeline. We have not ironed out the timeline just yet, but probably we'll figure it out in the next few weeks. I like to throw Nick under the bus and say whenever Nick gets to finishes his move to Seattle, we'll figure that out. But basically what we're going to build, or what we're in the process of building, is a platform around the whole idea of certainty. How do we actually get closer to the things that we want? So we built this community to try to teach people the things that we've learned and share with you the people we've met, like Dr. Jeff and Dr. Gabby and Chris Voss, and folks who are the best at what they do, how they process issues, and it's different. They're mental shifts. So we've been building a platform around our principles and dynamic bank accounts and financial readiness. And the Certainty app will basically, right now it just does the profit priority piece, but eventually will manage everything that we teach in this class, or this program, this Wealth Q&A community. And so we're building a certification program around it so that you can be a certified certainty coach. Like the things that we teach, the way that we guide people to get closer to their priorities, you'll be in a position to build that into your business as well. Whether that's management coaching, whether that's your marketing, whether it's financial coaching, you'll find that everything that we teach is not actually about, it's called wealth Q&A or wealth acceleration, but it's not really about that, because for us, these are business strategies. Wealth is more than just money. When you ask people their priorities, they say things like time with their family, and they may say some tangible things, but there's usually a host of, to them, wealthy is more time, not just a bigger house and more vacations, although that's fine too. So we're building that out, and the intention is to start enrolling some people soon in that. Jackie says she's got to run, but she'll get her compiling done soon. Jackie is a whiz at compiling. So if you guys need some inspiration about someone who totally turned their business around over the last 6 months from just implementing hardcore, and she's got a kind of a retail business, a physio business, where she's seeing patients, and she was able over the last 6 months to eliminate debt, build up her reserves, restructure the way she's going to pay people, and now she's in a position to launch some new digital assets and really grow and get closer to what she wants, which I think she's comfortable saying because she's posted in the group a lot, which is more time with her son and her husband. So that's really her profit priority.
Yep. Ian's got a good question that I'd love to hit. Is there an ease of implementation level or level of impact to assess for each tactic in the workbook? In other words, how to prioritize? And I want to hit that because, like all things that we do, it depends. Right? That's why we have to compile first.
Yeah.
That's one really important. There's the compile phase. There's also a unique disposition component where some things will just be more natural. Like if I said, hey, go live on video every day. Some people there's gonna be a lot of friction. Some people are like, cool, I already do that. I just need to do it a little bit different. And so that's one of those things where I think we utilize a Wednesday or an office day, because it's, pick 9-word email. 9-word email is really simple. If you have 11 email subscribers, it's probably not the highest leverage thing to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of compiling that goes into that.
And Ian, you're a Diamond member, so we should talk about that in your office day.
Yep. Generally, if we think about system reliability, the most logical thing is to compile and then see if there is a gaping hole. Like you have a ton of acquisition, but a really poor retention. Generally, bringing up the lowest, eliminating the zeros changes the equation the most.
Yeah, great point. We talk about this. One of the principles that we taught in Double Your Cash Flow. So we did a 5-day challenge, how to double your cash flow and cut your risk in half. Because we know that business owners typically add more risk to grow their revenues. And we want to do the opposite. We want to grow our revenues while having our risk go down. Less fire drills, less sleepless nights. And so one of those that we taught was stop losses, which in my background is in derivatives and hedging and all that stuff that you probably don't want to know more about, because it's you get into words like contemporaneous documentation that people don't like to hear. But in the trading world, you have a stop loss, which is if the value of the position, the asset goes down to $50 a share, I want to sell it. So expert traders are really good at locking in losses. And business owners are not good at locking in losses. So there's a little bit of a mental shift there, because you want to let that position go as soon as possible, because you can find a better position that's going to get you back to at least your starting point sooner, faster. So we have a tendency to be biased away from locking in losses. Anyhow, that's the sort of frame in the investor world. In our business context, what we want to do is implement some strategies just to make sure we don't have a negative month. So if we just took our P&L, our profit and loss statement, and we looked at it for the last 12 months, and we just looked at the number at the bottom, So we got 12 columns because we got the last 12 months, and we look at the number at the bottom. Typically, I see that people have 3 to 4 months that they've lost money. So just export this to Excel or put it in a Google Sheet, go to those negative months and just delete the negative. Just replace it with a 0. And then sum up your profits, resum it up, those columns all the way across. Oftentimes what I see is that just by eliminating those 3 or 4 negative months, it would actually double their total profits for the year. So we're, to Nic's point about often we're so focused on trying to raise the ceiling, like more revenue, what if we just got rid of those losses? In Nic's words, raise the floor. Get rid of those losses. They're just break-even months. If we could just, over the next year, take all negative months to break-even months, we still keep the strong profitable months. Just look at what that will do to your financial performance. 50 to 100% increase usually in profit. So then once we know that, then we look at, well, what are the trends? Why are those months negative? So are they always negative? Maybe that's an industry thing. So maybe it's a function of business decisions you've made. Maybe it's a function of things that you're doing where after every high month, you have a negative month because you start over-investing in things. So it's a starting point. It's the compile phase. It's a starting point to then figure out what are the couple strategies I should consider. Erica says, so I think she meant Certainty app is awesome for this, or for us. Yes, the Certainty app is awesome. What it does right now is just help you track your profit priorities. So it's trying to answer the question for you based off your current assets and your current cash flow and the timeline for all of your priorities. Is it possible for you to fund them?
We can, I just thought about this, and we'll build this into, because of what the Certainty app spits out right now, if the input is appropriate, right? It shows you the shortage. Yeah. Right? This is how much cash you need in order to get all the things you said that you wanted. Now we could go right back to this workbook right here and realize just how simple or how difficult it might be.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do, and I know you do, which is we look at all of our profit priorities, 10 more hours per week, fund core capital, which is the amount you need to retire, buy a Suncadia vacation property. Now I'm just giving you my own profit priorities. And then you go, okay, 10 more hours per week. I want to achieve that in the next year. Core capital funded. I want to do that in the next 10 years. Buy a Suncadia house. I want to do that in the next 2 years. And then you say, well, how much would each of those things cost? Because there's a dollar value. And basically what the app is going to tell you is how much additional money do you need to make each year to be able to fund all of those priorities. Once you know that number, then we can go back to the workbook and go, okay, well, how much more do I need to grow my business to get that additional cash? And it's probably, if you double it over the next 2 years and double it again over the next 4 and you manage your cash well, chances are that's going to be enough to fund most of your priorities. So now we know that. Now we know how much we need to grow, that if we do that, we can fund all of our priorities. And now what we need to figure out are what's our action plan? Let's get really focused on what are going to be the lead domino strategies to implement. And then we just keep coming back to that. What are our priorities? Has anything changed? Have we added something new? Have we changed the timeline? Okay, that's fine. If we change the timeline, that changes how much cash we need. So folks will tell me I want to fund retirement in 20 years. And then what we really find is that it's 5 or 10 years. That's fine. That just changes the equation. Any other questions, comments, concerns, high fives? I'm proud of myself for the workbook. Mostly
because threw that together quick.
Mostly because of the action plan part.
High five from Kyle Bogey. Oh, Kyle Bogey doesn't count. Darren
I'll still take a high five from Kyle Bogey.
Yeah.
And a high five from Darren. Take a high five.
Cool. So we have I got to jump on in 2 minutes. Got a few new people in Diamond. You'll get notified of the calls. You'll kind of navigate around. Everything is unlocked. Don't get overwhelmed. Everything's unlocked. Best part is you can show up on Wednesday and say, this is the problem I have. And we can say, cool, let's work through it, or go check out this course. And it'll already be unlocked for you. So show up to Wednesdays. It's the best way to just get direction.
Right on. All right. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully we'll see most of you on Monday.
See you Monday.
See ya.